Hi, my name is Panu and I'm about to build a boat. Almost 5 years ago I said something like, my dream or my project, which starts from now and here, is to build a boat. Yeah, that was the very first video of this series and time has flown. Behind me you can see the CNC router I built last year, and this shed has been built during last winter, and now everything should be kind of ready for the project to start. In this video we're starting to make the first piece of the boat. I don't really know how should I be. I'm nervous, I'm anxious, I'm excited, and yeah. So if you want to join my adventure to build this 50-meter cruising sailboat, please subscribe to the channel, give me a like, and consider supporting this project by becoming my Patreon. All the revenue will go into making these videos, of course. Goal of this video is to start the first piece of the boat. So I think we're gonna start by taking a look of the 3D model in the computer, what the frames actually are in this case and how they are going to be in there. And meanwhile, I will prepare the CNC router for cutting the first pieces. Let's jump right in. Here you can see the structural model of the boat. This is roughly the shape the boat will be before we start planking the exterior surface. So there's these frames, 18 of them. This first one is frame number 0, and this is number 1, 2, 3, and so forth. There is stem and keel, and here is the structures for supporting the double keels. And on the top side you can see these bulwark boards. These are the boards the boat will be built on to the floor, so it is completely straight with the water level. And underneath that there is the side decks, and under those are the clamp moldings, which are longitudinal beams that go from the stem to the stern. And of course there is additional structures around the mast steps. But if you jump right here in the stern, we'll see the first frame I'm gonna build, and it is the frame number 17 right behind here. So the logic of these frames is such that they extend all the way to the bulwark. There is integrated notches for the clamp molding and the bulwark side wall, inside wall I mean. And also I added just recently some notches for the rub rail, but they are actually not in the 3D model right now. But if we separate this last frame from here, you can see how the notches go. So they are just shaped in a way that the pieces that go against those should fit right in there very accurately. I think it's a good idea to start the build with this frame. It is simplest of them all. It has quite gentle curve on it. There is no floors or anything like that. And the test frame number 3 in previous video was actually made from this section right here. So this is what we're looking for, and hopefully we can get to see this shape next spring, I hope. It will be upside down, of course. But then if we look at this a little closer, you can probably notice that it's not actually that complicated. There's just these frames. They are basically all the same method, and then we just attach them to the bulwark boards on the floor, and then we laminate all these additional pieces on them. Sounds simple. That wasn't a good start. It's now maybe 4 hours later. Something had happened to my computer with the settings file, so I had to reinstall the controller software and do all the calibration and stuff again. Then there was thunderstorm and I had to unplug everything to avoid any damage. But yeah, feels like someone doesn't want this project to start. Now it's ready. Here the first piece of the very good quality pine plywood, and I have the programs ready. First program is to make the mounting holes so that I put the sheet on this spoil board with screws. That's the only way to really keep these plywood sheets on there. They are a bit kind of warpy. Let's zero the Z first and then start the program. Yeah. The Z is zeroed. Spindle should be okay, and this will be the first cut of the bolt. It's a bit warped here, so I'll have to keep it down just a little bit. Let's put some screws in there. I bought some very small screws. Their only function is to hold the piece down. These also go down enough so if the tip goes for some reason on top of these very closely, it won't hit the screw, which would be a bad thing. There were some problems with microphone. I lost the sound of this part. But here you can see the program, what it's going to cut, and there goes the first hole. And that is the first piece cut out. How exciting is this? Now they are here, the first pieces of the boat. Let's see how they look. Here you can see the size of the transom. It's actually a bit smaller than I thought. Oh. These puzzle joints are a bit tight. I'm not sure why they are, because the test piece was perfect, but now they seem to be a bit too tight to really go in place. It might be so that I don't really need these puzzle joints because they are hold place with doubles anyway, so. Or just a little bit force is needed. A couple of days later, frame number 17 is now on this table, and I just kind of mock up these clamps here, and I need to do more of them, obviously. What I'm starting to do now is to prepare the stock for the slats and for the spacers, and also those filler pieces that go on each side. You can probably see those long boards back there. Rough measurement from here, it is about 2.5 meters. And those are a little bit over 5, so from one board there should be one single strip going through. But I don't think that's going to be wise, because there will be knots and there will be some defects in those. And of course, if there's some warp in them, I have to plane them heavily to get them straight. So I think I'm gonna chop them in some kind of pieces to get little shorter boards to handle. All right, I started the milling by planing these 3 boards down, and these will be the spacer blocks. Now this whole pile should be exactly 57 millimeters thick. So I'm gonna cut these with the CNC, the pieces over there, and glue them up from these. The next job is to cut this timber into those slats. This is construction timber. It's quite good quality, pretty straight. I should get 2 sets of strips from one piece. What I need to do here is to cut 2 sides absolutely square, and then cut this in exactly 57 millimeters wide pieces. So there should be 2 of these from, and there's plenty of room to plane it down. Hand tools are dangerous. Now this stock is cut in half and two sides are squared with the jointer. Now it's time to cut them in width, which means exactly 57 millimeters for the thickness of the frame between those plywood. This 6.5 millimeters plywood times 2 and 57 equals 75 altogether. I'm still getting shivers of the thought that this wood here is gonna be part of the boat. I really can't believe it. Here we go. This is the pile of the material. There is a few quite big knots in there, so we'll see how much really usable slats I'm going to get from this. I'm gonna need a couple of these and glue them together to make the filler pieces. And I have plenty of man glitter around me. And I think I'm gonna collect that sawdust in a bag to be used as a filler in epoxy. I tried to change the blade for the bandsaw yesterday, but this rolling guide thing doodad is so jammed that I couldn't get it open. The smaller blade requires this to be adjusted a little bit. It's all right, I can do it with this rough blade. And as you can see, I have my hoodie on because the summer kind of ended today. It's last day of August and tomorrow is September and fall is coming, so temperatures are dropping quite quickly now. But now I just mill this stock into those slats and we'll see how that goes. I was kind of afraid that this would happen, that I would forget totally to spare some of these to make the filler pieces inside. Good thing I remember it now. Yeah, now I'm gonna get few of them that has the most annoying knots. They can be used in the filler pieces. For example, this one has a big knot right here. Maybe these three. So I'll put these on the side. But otherwise this method seems to work quite well. So what I'm doing here, if you haven't watched the previous videos, I'm taking this piece of pine, you can see, and I'm taking about 4.5, maybe 5 millimeters piece out of this with the bandsaw. Then I'm planing down the remaining piece so that there's always a perfect surface to cut with the bandsaw again. So that loses maybe a 0.5 millimeter to millimeter material every planing round, but I think that's not that big of a deal. Then I cut it again and plane it again, and afterwards, when these are all done, all those slats have one already smooth surface and one rough surface, and then I'm gonna plane all them down to a particular thickness. This is a little boring to watch, I think, but yeah, this is part of the boat building process, I guess. Some thoughts. This material is not as good as I would want it to be. There's quite a bit of knots and little irregularities with this. I have a couple of contacts that would provide me a little bit better material. I have to make some calculations how much actually these costs compared to some other options. That pile of that very high quality material was dirt cheap. It was kind of laying around and I got it basically for nothing. I'm still a little bit thrilled that the boat build actually has started. No, I can't really believe it. Oh well. And of course, without these machines, this bandsaw I got basically for free, and that jointer planer. It's not mine, but I got it for free to use, and I couldn't do this without these two. But all right, I try to do rest of these, and then we can jump to the CNC again. And just like that, here is a pile of pine slats for laminating the frame. And the result is okay, I think. The last planing kind of ripped off quite many of those knots, so I need to make a system that I can get those off and fill them with something. Problematic knots are, of course, these kind of knots that are on the side for the slat, so you can probably see that this particular piece is broken in the middle. But that's all right. I am figuring out currently a method that I can make some kind of a joint with these slats like that, and so that they would stay together, maybe like a puzzle joint or something like that. Next, I think I'm gonna make a program for the CNC and cut the spacer pieces for these, and then I have to put this thing together and make the filler pieces which go inside the frame. And for that I made a purchase. Wait a second, where are they? I just look at them somewhere. Oh, come on. This is a problem of mine. I tend to leave things lying around. Oh, here they are. So, what I was going to say, I made a purchase with two professional CNC router bits. This is a 40mm straight bit, and this is 40mm compression bit that has a upcut on the front and downcut with the rest. These weren't actually cheap, so I better take care of them. So with this kind of bit I can machine these as they are, so I don't have to do them from separate pieces and glue them together afterwards. I have to test these first, of course, to make sure that my settings and things are right, because they are pretty aggressive compared to the other bits I have used so far. Making things a little bit more serious, bit by bit. About these videos, now when the build is starting, I'm a bit confused. What should I shoot? What should I show you? What interests you most? And stuff like that. But be patient. I tend to get better with this, and hopefully at some point get some help editing these videos. So, yeah. Started to cut from the wrong side of the line, so this should be the outer line and the cut on this side. Yeah, I have to check the programs. This is now the first of the 3 mold or spacer piece cuts, and always something to learn. First of all, I made these programs for 4mm bit, and I totally forgot that it's only 13mm deep, so this is 17. So obviously I can't use the 4mm here. So I changed it to the 8mm, which is long enough, but now there was not enough clearance between the parts, so they came loose. Nothing major, I think, happened. One bigger issue was that for some reason the Fusion 360 tends to kind of flip the cutting edge in a way or another, so you have to be really careful which side from the line the machine will cut. And I think the router bit is a bit dull already. That has been used for some time. The edges in the end grain are not that perfect. Some cleanup to do with these. Second batch coming. It is exactly the same program, except it goes a little deeper. This is 20mm. The previous was 17. And I adjusted the program just a little bit. I made sure that tabs were in correct positions, and I made them slightly bigger. So now all the parts should be staying in place. But I'm not going to film this anymore. Let's go to the table and make some glue up for the filler pieces that will go inside the frame. This is the test frame number 3 you saw me do in last episodes. And in here, in this portion, there is a filler piece that is made with a few pieces, as you can see. For this actual frame, there's going to be 2 of these. So this is actually made from that frame. I need to make that filler piece. For that, I managed to save 3 of these stock material pieces. They are about 10 centimeters and 45 centimeters long. So this should be enough. I just cut them in half, and then we glue up them side by side together to make one piece, and then we'll cut it with the CNC. It's going to be quite deep cut. This is 57 millimeters deep, and I'm a bit anxious to do that with the CNC. And one reason for that is that I'm not exactly sure if that spindle is absolutely straight in all directions. I haven't still calibrated it that way. In thin materials it doesn't really matter, but in this case it can be a little bit annoying if the cut is crooked in some way. But I will test it before I cut this. I just realized something. This is going to be the first glue up for the bolt. Although they are just filler pieces, but still exciting. I'm a little bit concerned about temperature. It's going to be less than 10 degrees this night, so not sure how the temperature will behave. I really have to get a temperature meter and also the moisture meter. If it won't cure completely, I will take this thing, wrap it in plastic and bring it home to be a warm place for a while. That's it for the day. Now I'm heading home and I will be back here tomorrow afternoon. It's now Friday evening. What a nice way to spend it.